What's up guys? Today we're going to check out Avatar: The Way of Water on 4K. I'm not going to get into how good or bad the movie is, I'm just going to share some of my thoughts on the audio and video quality. Now let's go over a few tech specs. The movie was shot in 4K 3D. It's got a 4K DI. It's rated PG-13. Runtime is 192 minutes. Aspect ratio is 1.85:1, and the audio is in Dolby Atmos. Let's jump over to the Atmos viewer and see how active this mix is. Or will it be your standard Atmos mix? If you don't know what the Atmos viewer is, you can find a link down below in the video's description that tells you all about it. You can also find all the gear that I use for these movie reviews down there as well. Now this sounded pretty much how I heard it at the Dolby Cinemas. I saw it a few times in Atmos, so I took a few notes. I wasn't blown away with a high amount of discrete effects at the theater, and it also translates to the home mix as well. Taking a look at the Atmos viewer, yes, the surrounds get a lot of usage, but it's mostly musical extension and some extended light ambiance. The most impressive parts I felt were the forest scenes or anytime there was rain. The water hitting the leaves and different speakers and the natural outdoor sounds really expanded the soundstage outwards in a full bubble of sound. Unfortunately, for about 98% of the runtime, your speakers are locked in a static 7.4 layout. Being a Disney mix, it's not that much of a surprise. Although there are a handful of times you get some dynamic movement that passes through not only your wide channels, but your center surround. The ship landing at 22 minutes in, you'll hear debris floating through the air. At 25 minutes in, there's a chopper landing with swirling effects. And at 2 hours 14, there's some underwater effects that move through all your channels. There's a handful of other light effects, but like I said, it's mostly a static mix. And I did have to turn up the volume a few dB to get it up to the same level as most other mixes out there. So yeah, it's a typical Disney mix. For bass response, it hits really hard during the big action scenes. Explosions hit really hard, the ship landings hit pretty hard, and the space whales, when they were talking, also had some beefy weight. I didn't feel anything went ultra low, so this looks to be another mix that limits the low end extension. Dialogue, however, was solid throughout. If you're new to the channel and you're into home theater and like to know if a movie is worth playing on your surround setup, or like to know about the latest and greatest in audio and video gear, tap the subscribe button for new weekly videos. And also, thank you to all my Patreon and YouTube member subscribers for supporting the channel and making this purchase of Avatar: The Way of Water possible, so I can bring you, the home theater community, this 4K review. If you want to join Patreon or my YouTube membership, you'll find links down below in this video's description. For image quality, this has a very clean, crisp, detailed picture. It's mostly all CG, but it can be so good there's many shots the Na'vi look like the real deal. The skin textures, the reflective light, the water droplets, everything is rendered as perfectly as possible with today's tech, and it all shines in this 4K transfer. I do think they added a tiny bit of digital grain to keep everything from looking so digitally artificial, so it does help blend the human characters together with the CG and gives it a more filmic cinematic look while still being 4K crispy. As for the HDR, I didn't think it was a scorcher, but the overall picture was bright throughout. There's the scene with the forest that's on fire that gets those nits going, and of course, being all outdoors, the sunlight and reflective surfaces, whether it's on skin or the water's surface, have excellent sparkle. Even the neon colors during the darker scenes have great pop and contrast. The black levels never crushed any low-level information, keeping shadow detail intact, and I didn't notice anything being blown out or clipped in the brighter scenes. It's an overall very natural-looking transfer without being overly vibrant or dark. It's a fantastic-looking movie, and I think it is worthy of a 9.9. Only thing that could make this better if it actually had the variable frame rate. That would be more authentic to the way it was meant to be seen, and obviously if it was in 3D 4K with variable frame rate, that would be the way it was meant to be seen. Unfortunately, the 4K specs don't support 3D or 48 frames per second. If you don't care for any of that, then this is demo material for sure for your 4K display. For audio, like I said earlier, this sounded the same as it did at the theater when I saw it then, which I felt was kinda average sounding. There's still good spatial detail and a spacious soundstage, but I felt there could have been more distinct directional effects rather than just extended ambiance and music. The bass was decent, but nothing I felt was too crazy, and you will have to bump up that volume control. I was hoping for a knockout Atmos mix, but I thought it was just good. I'm gonna have to go with an 8.1. So the question is, will the physical media version be on a single Disney-sized 66 gig disc, or will it be on a 100 gig disc? maybe 2 discs. Because as it is, the Kaleidoscape version clocks in at 102.7 gigs, which is a little over the 4K disc limit. It's 100% better than any streaming version that I saw, and it'll be interesting to see if it'll be better or the same as the disc. Also, will the disc have a variable frame rate? Maybe 60 frames per second, maybe not. Leave your comments down below and let me know. Now, if you do want to pick up this movie, I'll leave some links for it down below in this video's description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you'd like, you can follow us on social media, and if you'd like to support the channel and get exclusive content or great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.